So I'm Daniel, as Michelle mentioned, and I'm so excited to share some recipes that are very true to my heart. In addition, this is supposed to be very interactive. I have two lovely people with me, Drea and Michael, and they're going to be fielding any questions that come your way. So it's rare that you get to do recipe follow-alongs with the chef in live format, so take advantage of it. If you're like, hey, Daniel, why do you do this? Or why do you do that? Or I'm doing this, how do I get there? Share with me. I mean, that's the whole fun of having me here. It's a live interactive demo, and I'm happy to give you as much information as possible. And I just want to briefly touch on passion. When I was 20 years old, started a real estate company, and it failed really quickly. And I decided, and I realized at 20 years old that I wasn't happy just making money, but I really wanted to do something that I love, that I would be excited to do every day. And I love food, hospitality, and cooking. And so I moved home, back to my twin bed, and I started a food truck, which is what launched my career into what it is right now. And so when I think about passion, when I think about what it means to be true to yourself, I really think about food and elements of using your hands, being visceral, and really just diving into whatever it is that you're passionate about. And it's just a great company, and I'm excited to be aligned with it, but I'm also just excited to share my passion with you. And I hope if this ignites any passion at home and you cook a little bit more often, DM me. That would make me feel so good. So first things first, let's get started. And I need you guys to all do one thing. Go and get your ovens on at 450 or 500. If you're able to get your oven on at 500, all the better. If you have it on at 450, that's totally fine. We're gonna roast a few things in there, so make sure to go get your oven on as we get started, because it'll take some time to heat up, and that's in our prep time. We're gonna spend an hour together, and so your oven should be hot enough in about 20 to 25 minutes, and that's exactly when we're gonna need it. And then outside of that, everyone should have the cooking list. You need either a food processor or a blender, a sheet pan, some mixing bowls, a cutting board, a knife, a pot, and then a pan. So if you guys have a frying pan, it doesn't need to be this large. I just like to use large things because it makes me look smaller. So just make sure you grab one of those as well. Yeah, I think we can get started. And so the first thing that we want to do is we want to make pulled chicken. Pulled chicken is really easy to make, and it's a staple in my home. It's something that really makes just any dish better. I mean, last night I used it for a vermicelli salad. I used it for my tacos. The trick to doing the best quality pulled chicken breast is using high quality chicken, which I know I wrote on your recipe list, that you want to use all natural or organic. It makes a shocking difference. In my restaurants, we only use organic for that reason. And so we have these breast tenders right here. And you're just gonna wanna go ahead and get a pot about half full with water. It's not so important. You just need enough water that it covers the chicken. And so we have our pot filled with water. I'm gonna wait for everybody to go ahead and do that. You don't want too much water. It's going to take too long to heat up. Now, while you're putting that together, the next step, you want one white onion. So one white onion. If you have bay leaves at home, 2 or 3 bay leaves. And we're gonna need some garlic. So I here have 2 pieces of garlic. And so while you guys are filling up that water, if you haven't already, let's go ahead and peel your garlic. So what I do to peel garlic, I just remove it. We don't need it to be anything fancy. You just wanna take the back of your knife, press down with your finger, make sure you're doing it safely, onto the cutting board, and smash down the garlic, and that will make it really easy to remove the skin. And then we're just gonna go ahead and peel it. And we're using this to flavor the chicken breast. So you guys can leave the germ on, the piece at the end, makes no real difference. And this is just gonna add a nice subtle flavor. So we have, here again, we have 2 pieces of garlic. We're gonna get those into the pot. We're gonna grab our few bay leaves, put those bad boys in the pot. You'd be shocked how much flavor comes out of a bay leaf. It always surprises me, but it always makes me happy. And then we're gonna take that one onion, and I'm gonna have you guys follow along here. You're gonna cut off the end, the piece that kind of, so there's the root where the sulfuric acid is, and there's the end. You always wanna cut the end side off because the sulfuric acid mostly lies right here in an onion. And so if you cut this part, you start crying. You cut this part, less chance of crying. And I'm really just trying to keep you guys happy at home and fed well, not sad and onion crying, you know? We're gonna have fun. That's what you guys hired me for, is to have some fun, bring some passion. Passion can come in the form of tears, but hopefully today in the form of smiles and hungry happiness. So now that the onion's cut, the end's off, we're just gonna go ahead and cut it in half. Boom. We cut that in half. We're gonna save this half for later. And then we're gonna cut that sulfuric acid side, just right at the end, basically cutting off both ends, and we're gonna just peel off the top layer. Boom. And after that, you're just gonna rough chop the onion. Doesn't really matter. We're not using it for anything other than flavoring. And we're gonna get that into the pot as well.
Wait, can you slow down a little bit? Can you zoom in on that?
Of course. I'll do it with the other half so you get to see again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry. Not very
So
good.
with that onion, we cut off that end piece, right? We still got that. There is the root. We're gonna go ahead and cut the root off. So right here, I've got the root. I'm just cutting off about 1/2 inch on the other side. So effectively, I cut off the bottom and I cut off the top. And then from there, we just want to remove the outer layer, the kind of like loose outside layer, the protective layer, just so we get nice fresh onion below. And so right there, took off the outside layer. And honestly, it really doesn't matter how you chop this onion up. You can cut it in half. You can cut it in a few pieces. You just want to cut it up so that you're able to distribute the onion flavor into the pot. Are you guys with me now or hang for a sec? What's it look like at home?
Is the water supposed to be on?
Not yet. So we've flavored it, and we're about to get the water in there on the heat. Absolutely. So right now, in the pot, we've got onion, we've got our garlic, and we have our bay leaf. And so those are really the strong flavor suits that are going to be in here. Outside of a few more ingredients, we've pretty much flavored that. We're going to flavor the chicken with these simple elements. And the reason why we're not going overboard is this chicken is great. It's really versatile. It's going to be soft and tender. And so you can use it in a million different things. As I said, I like to make a bunch of this chicken like on Monday or Tuesday and use it throughout the week in tacos, quesadillas, stir fries, noodle dishes. It's really just a versatile way to use the chicken, and it's incredibly healthy and really simple. All right. And so we're going to go slow, but we're going to move on to the next step. The next step is salt. Incredibly important that we get salt into the pan because that salt will help flavor the chicken. And without salt, it won't taste good. You're going to want to use about, if you guys have a spoon at home, and you guys, for the people who got 1.5 pounds, we're going to go with roughly 3 tablespoons. And for those who got 2.5 pounds, go with 4 tablespoons. So similar to if you're salting water for pasta, you want to go pretty decent with the salt, not too much, but you're cooking those whole pieces, so it's only going to salt the outside, and so you want to make sure that the water has a decent amount of salt. And so I'll wait for you guys to catch up there.
Can you repeat the salt?
And while you guys are catching up, I would love to share, Michelle actually just shared that I just finished filming a reality show, and it was actually the all-star season of the Great Food Truck Race, the show that I did 10 years ago. And so what's crazy about it is they brought all of us during COVID to San Francisco and with 1 week's notice, which is insane. And they had us all compete against the other winners. So there was a season 2 winner, season 3 winner, season 5 winner, season 6 winner. And so all the winners throughout the past 10 years, 7 of them came to compete against each other. And so for the past month, 7 days a week, 15 hours a day, I've been in a heavy competition. So cooking for you guys is so fun and so nice. I'm in my own kitchen. It's beautiful. I'm relaxed. And I'm just honored that you guys decided that you wanted to have me teach you guys' cooking lesson. It's going to be a lot of fun. Salt, yeah. So 3 tablespoons of salt for 1.5 pounds of chicken, which is for the 2 people. And if you're doing the 2.5 pounds of chicken, you can go with 4 tablespoons of salt.
Were we supposed to put the chicken into the bowl, into pot?
What was
Not
that?
yet. Are we putting the chicken into the pot or not yet?
Yeah, you're more than welcome to. We still have, that's pretty much the last step. So right now we're gonna open up our chicken and we're just gonna put it right into the pot. And so this is actually really important. If you have chicken that's really large and you weren't able to get like some of the smaller breasts, you're gonna want to cut them in half, butterfly them. It's very important that you do this just because it's not gonna cook properly with everything else in the time we need. So if you have nice small tenders, you can put them straight in the pot. If you've got a big, thick chicken breast, it's gonna be best to cut it in half, thickness-wise, so butterflying it, and then putting it into the pot.
Use the scissors.
I butterfly. Is this butterfly worthy?
What was that?
Should I butterfly this?
Butterflying is going through the thickness in half. So let's say I took this right here and I went lengthwise, I would go through it with my knife in half. So you're cutting the dimension by 50% in the thickness. But as long as you're cutting it into smaller pieces, it's not so important if you butterfly it, or it's a circular breast anyway. So if you want to cut it straight down the middle, that's okay too. What's beautiful about the pulled chicken is there isn't too much you can do to ruin this dish. There's only one crucial mistake that you can make in doing pulled chicken, and it's crucial because it is the difference between really great pulled chicken and really terrible pulled chicken. And you need to not let the water rapid boil. If the water gets to a temperature of like, basically just too hot, if it starts rapid boiling, your chicken's gonna tense up and it's gonna become really, really tough, and it's not gonna be great. You need to make sure that you're cooking it over a medium heat. It could be a light boil or right before that. And that's the most essential thing when cooking these chicken breasts, is just getting it to basically a medium temperature. Yeah, if people are a little bit ahead of others, go ahead and get your stove, your range, up to a medium heat. So if you're able to get it right at there at medium, even medium, a little bit above medium towards high, that's the perfect heat for getting the chicken going. And this is where the chef in you has to come out. You got to keep an eye on this thing. You gotta look. And if it starts rapid boiling, just move it off the heat. And once it slows down, lower the heat, move it back on. This is essential. One of the most interesting things about my journey in cooking, I never learned professionally how to cook. I taught myself, and I've been really blessed because we've done so well with our food. But the number one thing that I've learned from cooking is it's really all about heat. Once you learn how heat works and how it interacts with proteins, vegetables, you can really understand how to cook in a kitchen. And so just keep in mind, medium heat, it won't tense it up, and it will cook it nicely and softly to perfection. So now that we've got our chicken, our salt, our bay leaf, our garlic, our onion, we're gonna go ahead and get it over medium heat and keep an eye on it, and just make sure that we do about a nice 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to teach you how to do this perfectly, as far as like keeping an eye on it. And so that's over here. If you guys have a meat thermometer at home, it's my favorite tool. It's like $4, and it really does change your cooking. I still, as professional as I am in all my restaurants, I still check the temp of every steak, of every dish, of every chicken, because I want to make sure it's absolutely perfect. And there's nothing more perfection, or there's no more perfection than using a temperature check, because you can literally cook it perfectly. So if you don't have one at home, I'll teach you a backup option. But for right now, I'm assuming you don't. And so we're going to go exactly on how to like just keep an eye on it. So I'm going to wash my hands. I recommend everybody doing that at home. If you just touch the chicken, you don't want that on anything else. So make sure you wash your hands, and I'll meet you back at the cutting board in 30 seconds. So now that we've got our chicken going and we're back to our cutting board, there's been no chicken on this cutting board. Things are clean. We're going to move into making the salsa. Now, the salsa is one of the easiest things. You can put anything in there. Last week, I made a plum salsa. I made a peanut salsa. You really can just have fun. So for today, we're going to do a roasted pineapple and tomatillo salsa. Those flavors are incredible together. So we're going to start with our mise en place. Mise en place means all your right items in the right place. And so this is being a setup for making the best salsa, and we're going to get these into the oven and roast them. So for the pineapple, you just want to twist off the top. Throw the top away unless you have a fun costume for Halloween that you're thinking of with a little pineapple top. And we're going to go ahead and just cut off each end. Boom. Boom. We're going to throw away those end pieces. And we're going to work our way around the side of the pineapple, removing the skin. And so this is a pretty simple process. You're going to want to go ahead and take your knife and just go down in a straight line and just remove the outside skin. And so if you do this one side at a time, you should be able to start with doing 4 sides. I'm going to show you kind of like the easier way to do it. So you're going to do 4 sides, one by one. And then you're going to go back and just hit those corners. So there's basically going to be 4 little spots. So you're just going to take your same knife and go down the corner, just removing any of the hard outside. Now, I've got a bonus question for anyone at home who's ready. What do you need to do right now outside of cooking? Where do your eyes need to be to make sure something isn't boiling? And I kind of gave it away, but
The chicken.
there it is. Keep an eye on that chicken. Don't let that chicken boil, okay? Just let it keep it nice and medium. I tell my guys in the kitchen the same thing. You just got to keep an eye on it. I got a decent amount of water in there. I don't even have a boil yet, so I got time. But just keep an eye on it. If you're already at a light boil, you're perfect. You're about 12 to 15 minutes away from perfectly cooked chicken. So we've now cut off the ends. There's no hard parts. We're going to throw away those trimmings. And we're actually only going to use half the pineapple, but I'm going to show you how we cut it anyways, just because this is the best practice for saving it for later. So the pineapple core, it's really tough. It doesn't really taste very good. So we want to cut around that. So you're going to take your knife and go the full length of the pineapple right after the core. So the core is right there. That's where the core is right there. My knife is right here. I'm going to show you from the side view. Core, knife. So you're just basically allowing for a little bit of space around that. One more cut straight down. We got our first piece. We're going to do the same thing again. Basically leaving about 1 square inch in the middle. Perfect. And so that's our core. Not very edible. Get rid of that. Now, half this pineapple, you guys are going to save for later. You can do whatever you need with it. The other half we're going to use for our salsa, just because we don't want to overpower the flavor. So these are saved for later. And with the pieces that we're going to use, we're just going to cut them one more time in half, just so we can cook them a little bit better. Something beautiful about these going into the oven is that they're going to caramelize. It's going to bring out some of the sugar. A nice salsa, in my opinion, has a really great depth, but it's sweet and it's spicy. That really pairs well with whatever slaw, whatever chicken protein that you're going to put in there. So we're going to go ahead and get those into a bowl. So everybody caught up with the pineapple, or you guys need a little bit of time? We get some eyes in there, Michael? All right, busy hands. That's good. That's good. People are just eating some of their pineapples. I love that. Pineapple's delicious, you know. That's the reason why it's in here. We do have to keep a pace to finish this in an hour. So hopefully we're a little behind, but that's okay. I'm going to get you guys back there as soon as I can. And so, yeah, we'll wait a little bit. Ready? Okay, we're good to go. Okay, so next we're going to use that half onion that we saved from the chicken. That you're just going to cut one time in half. That's all. Boom. Put it into the pineapples. Put it into the bowl that you got with the pineapples. We now have pineapples, onion in that bowl. That was easy. And we're going to take one jalapeno. Actually, the J is silent. I was just seeing if you're paying attention. So take one jalapeno. We're going to cut off the stem. And we're just going to cut it lengthwise in half. And that in our bowl. Making magic here. We now have our jalapenos in that same bowl. You can go ahead and throw away the stem. Now, we're going to do a real quick show of hands, and Michael's going to give me the info. How many people at home have tomatillos? Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Tomatillos are one of my favorite things in Mexican cooking. It's actually from the gooseberry family, which is kind of bizarre. But it's made its way as a staple in Mexican cooking. And it's got a beautiful bitterness and acid that really makes salsa and honestly marinates just super delicious. Tomatillos are one of the main staples in my Mexican restaurant and my food truck. And they're just delicious. So if you haven't already, you're going to want to clean the outside of the tomatillo. So it's a little sticky, you'll notice, but let's go ahead and take off the outside shell. And once you've cleaned them, they're just going to go in that same bowl with the pineapple, the jalapeno, and you're just going to get those tomatillos in there. And now for those of you who has Roma tomatoes, go ahead and just put the Roma tomatoes in the bowl. You can keep them whole. I'm a troll? No, but he knows. Wow, I'm rhyming. Things are getting weird in this kitchen. Okay. So we now have our tomatillos, jalapeno, onion, pineapple. And for those of you who have the Romas can go in there. I didn't want to exclude you, so I'll put one Roma. If you have Romas at home, you can go ahead and put one Roma just to keep the color bright. You know, now it's really festive. We've added some red to the plate.
How many tomatillos do we put for the salsa?
You know, I had small tomatillos, so I added a few more. You can't go wrong. Use whatever tomatillos you have. I would say like 6 or 7 small ones, 4 big ones. What's really cool about this salsa is it's not going to make much difference if you use a little less or a little more. And
Do we cut up the tomatillos?
what's the question?
Do we cut up the tomatillos?
No, you can keep them whole. And I'm going to step right away to make sure our oven's up to temp, so I'll be right back. Okay, great. And so hopefully everybody has those tomatillos clean. Does it look like they do at home? Beautiful. So this is the last part, last step. It's super easy. You're going to take just a small pinch of salt, salt the items in the bowl, and then you're just going to take some olive oil, and you're going to coat it in olive oil. And you're just going to toss it in the salt and olive oil. And these are going to go into the oven to roast.
Ooh,
So it goes right onto the sheet pan. If you have foil, you could use foil. These are industrial, so I don't mind if they get a little crazy. We have like a crazy kitchen to clean them in. But you just want to go ahead and get a little bit of oil on them. And once they're on this, you're good to go. They go into the oven. So I'm going to move these to the oven. Take your time. Let's do the same. Hot oven. There's bang. All right. Yeah, no problem. So you're going to get oil, a little bit of kosher salt. You're going to toss it in that bowl with those ingredients for our salsa, and that's going right into the oven. Now, if you guys remember, we're keeping our eye on that chicken. It should be getting up to temp right now. If you notice, you can see the chicken starting to change a little bit opaque in color. We don't have a boil. This is absolutely perfect. It's actually cooking exactly the way you want. No boil, but nice temp. And it's slowly poaching. This is the best way to get soft chicken. We've got beautiful items in the oven. Things are really coming together. Hopefully you feel the passion at home. And we've done a lot of the hard work. Now we have guacamole to make. How fun is that? Guacamole, and especially this guacamole, is going to be one of your favorites. There's a few unique elements that drive this guacamole home. It's lots of lime juice. My name of my food truck's the Lime Truck. I have the word here on my body. I love limes. And fresh corn. The fresh corn adds a nice pop of sweetness and texture. And when you put those two together, you're really creating a magical guacamole. Now, what's really great about good guacamole is you can go ahead and substitute anything you need as far as like whatever ingredients you have. It's one of those open playing fields. It's like a lot like salsa. If you don't have the pineapple and you have strawberries, you can put them in. You can put orange in. You can put nuts in. You can really kind of mix and match and make this just a really fun thing for yourself. I'm just going to give you the basics to making my guacamole. And so for this, you want your cutting board. And we're going to go one step at a time. The very first thing, is everyone ready at home? Everyone has their items in the oven? Perfect. So the very, very first step is the avocados. The reason we want to do these first is because we're going to mash them, and it's the only item in there that gets mashed. And so if you put these in and then everything else and you mash it, it won't taste good. Well, it'll still taste good, but texturally it won't be right. And so we here have 3 ripe avocados. I'm just going to use 2 because it's just me here. And we're just going to go ahead and take our knife and cut right down and move it around in a circle around the core. And then we're going to twist just like that. And now you got beautiful avocados. How many avocados? You can use 2 or 3. I mean, if you want leftovers, I can teach you a little trick to making sure the guacamole doesn't brown. I'm just going to use 2 because it's just me, but feel free to do what you need. And so you cut down the center, and then you just twist and open. This is my favorite part, but make sure you do it safely. You grab your knife, you hold firmly onto the avocado that has the pit, and you just stab the pit like that. You see that right there, and you twist. And that's how you get out the pit. And so there's a few fun things to do in the kitchen. And then we're going to go ahead and do that on the second one. So you got our half avocado, our pit's in there. We're going to put our knife dead center, twist, and it came right out. Perfect. Now, I just want to check on something. As far as timing goes, I think we're going to not have time for the carrots. Do you guys want to go over, or do we want to do just the guacamole? Because I think the carrots are just a really fun side dish, but they're really simplistic in nature. I think the guacamole is much more special and is a specialty of mine. Do you guys think we should omit the carrots, or do you guys want to spend a little bit of extra time and do the carrots after? I'm happy to do either for everybody. Just guac, no carrots? Just guac, no problem. Make the carrots later, you know, the guac's more fun, it's more special. And so afterwards, we'll put it in the chat what you need to do, because the carrots are honestly one of the easiest things in the world. So I'll put it in the chat if you guys want. You guys can always do the carrots later. But yeah, we'll keep working on the guac. So here we have our avocados. They're all separated. We're gonna go ahead and grab a spoon, and we're just going to scoop out the middle. And so just get the avocado itself in there. You can use your hands, your fingers, you need to actually get it. And make sure you remove the pit. And we'll repeat on each one. Perfect. And so once you've got your avocados in your bowl, if you have a potato masher at home, I would use a potato masher all day. I don't have one here. You don't need one. You can just go ahead and grab your spoon and kind of cut it up a little bit with the spoon. So I'm just making smaller pieces, so it's easier to cut up. But again, if you have a potato masher or a mallet, that will always work better. But we keep it old school in this kitchen. I've got a million tools in the world, but I don't have a potato masher in here. And so we're breaking that up. You guys are doing this at home. Beautiful. And then I'm just going to grab the back. It helps to have a bigger spoon. Grab the back of my bigger spoon, and I'm just going to press against it, continuously smushing it, cutting them into smaller pieces. Yeah, of course. So I'm just smushing it, making it into smaller pieces. You guys can use a different, there's a bunch of tools you can use for this, but keep it old school. If you want to work out a little bit and really deserve your avocados, your guacamole, it's a staple. Also, it depends on the thickness you like. A lot of people like chunky guac. Some people like smooth guac. You can get it to your desired thickness. I like a little bit chunkier. I like high quality avocados, so we have the best avocados here in California. Funny, when I opened a restaurant in Singapore, I found out that we do have the best avocados here in California, and the runner-up is Mexico. And avocados there are like $3, $4 a piece. And so guacamole becomes a real luxury when you're talking about a 3 or 4x avocado price. And so once you've broken that up and you got it to your desired thickness, you're doing this first again because you don't want to smash the other ingredients that are going in. And so I've got a nice consistency here. I'm happy with it. A little bit of a forearm workout. Yum. Okay. And so, as you can see, it's got a nice texture. It's perfect. And so we're going to set that aside. You can keep your spoon in there. And we're going to get working on the other ingredients that go in there. So the next most important ingredient is corn. You want to do this while you have your bowl ready because it's easier to kind of do it during the start. And so this is all about technique as far as making things easier. So we're going to go ahead and shuck it. You can shuck that corn if you haven't already. Could remove all the hairs. And I'll let you guys catch up while that's happening. I'm just going to go ahead and check on our chicken. And the best way to check on your chicken is to use your meat thermometer. And so for those of you at home, depending on what size your chicken is, it should be gearing up. My guess is we're about 3-4 minutes away, but you want to go ahead and put that in there. You're looking for 160. You want to pull it at 160 even though you want it to get to 165. And so right now, we are there. We're going to check one more. We're going to check our thickest piece and just go one more time in there. And we are there. So I'm at 160. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this off the heat. And for those of you at home who do not have a meat thermometer, the trick is simple. You're going to take one piece of chicken out, and you're going to basically either use scissors, use tongs, use a knife, cut it in half. If it is fully cooked, there will be no rawness. You'll know what rawness looks like. It's more pink, opaque. You want to make sure it's fully cooked through. Obviously with chicken, there's no way to risk it. So it's better if you're unsure to let it go a little bit longer. But once that's there and it's cooked, you're going to basically take it off the heat, and you're going to remove the chicken from the liquid, and you're going to put it on a plate or in a bowl so that we're able to pull it. It's going to stay hot for a while, so you want to go ahead and do this. Does anyone have any questions at home if they have cooked chicken? I want to make sure we have that right.
Do you leave the remaining ingredients inside the pot or just like let them go?
Yeah, you're gonna just throw that away.
Okay.
Good question. And so now our chicken's out and it's cooling. And so again, if you have that meat thermometer, just go ahead and check it, make sure it hits 160. If not, I'll show you what we're gonna take one open. So we're just gonna take the thickest one that I can find, put it on our cutting board. It's cooked. You can use it on your cutting board. Check, cut it in half, and it's fully cooked all the way through. You can see it's perfectly white. There's nothing raw about it, and you know you're in good shape. And making sure you pull it before it's fully cooked, like when it's between 160 and 165, also helps ensure the tenderness of it. So I'm gonna wait for all of you guys to do that. While we're doing that, I'm just gonna check on the oven, see how our veggies are doing. Beautiful. It's supposed to be in the oven for, every oven's different, but 12 to 15 minutes. You're really just looking for it to nicely, basically caramelize on the outside, to brown on the outside. So a lot of those flavors come out when you put it into the blender. And so I'm gonna wait, once you guys have the chicken out in a bowl, we're gonna go back to our guacamole, so let me know when we're there. We're gonna get our mise en place ready for the next part. We still have some time, yeah, no problem. This is the fun of cooking at home. I can see exactly what you guys are doing, so we can take our time. All right. 147, keep it going. You're about 2 minutes away from it being that perfect temperature. And that's exactly why you want a meat thermometer. I'm happy. Whoever that is, you get bonus stars. And again, you can pull it at 160 because it will continue cooking as it's pulled. And so we're looking at about 5 more minutes on the items in the salsa, and everything's gonna start coming together pretty quickly. It's actually pretty cool. All right, and so I am moving back into our guacamole. While the chicken is cooling, your items are in the oven working. We're gonna go ahead and take the corn off the cob. Pretty simplistic, you just wanna get it in your bowl. Take your time with this, grab your knife, and just go right down and get all the kernels in there. Raw corn is one of my favorite things. Sweet summer white corn is one of the most delicious things. This is what makes the guacamole pop. And I know I'm gonna move a little faster than you, so don't worry, I'll slow down when it's the right time. We're just gonna get the kernels in there. Take your time with it. And once your kernels are in there, we are going to use the leche, the corn milk. This is my favorite thing, and it's such an essential part of making delicious guacamole. You're gonna take the back of your knife and you're gonna scrape the corn. So I'm gonna wait about another 30 seconds, make sure everybody's got their corn kernels into the guacamole, and we're gonna milk the corn. You heard me, milk the corn. Oh, good, good, good. So for milking the corn, what you want to do is take the back of your knife, the top part, and you just want to scrape down as you go along the cob of corn. And what you're doing is you're really drawing out the sugar and the sweetest part of the corn. So I'm just taking my knife, drawing out. It's going to get a little wet. So why you got this awesome Yoobi apron on. You know, if you're in the kitchen and you're not making a mess, what are you doing really, you know? And so we're just going to scrape the back of our knife, and you're going to see there's this delicious sweet stuff. If you want, try it. See what it is. And then every time you use corn, raw corn and anything, make sure you get this part of it, because this is really the most delicious part. So that's in there to add some sweetness. And then comes the jalapeno, the heat. Depending on what you like at home, you can do exactly as much heat as you like. We're gonna go with the full jalapeno here, but you're welcome to not use the whole thing. Now, I have a weird thing about the seeds and the connective tissue in jalapeno. I don't think it tastes very good. I think it's quite bitter and it's not my favorite. So I'm going to de-seed this. You don't need to do that at home. It's a small thing, it's like a chef thing. But if you do de-seed your jalapeno, I do think it will taste a little bit better. And so to de-seed it, you're just gonna go and spread your fingers along so it's a little easier to cut. And you're just gonna cut out the middle. And so you can even go as far as pulling it out if that's easier for you. It's really not that important. You can have some of the connective tissue, but taking out some of the seeds is gonna reduce a little bit of the heat, but it also, I think, enhances the flavor. And so once that's done, you're gonna get that out of there. And again, don't worry about doing this at home. You can keep it if you want it. I'm gonna wait till you're caught up. All right, how's everyone looking there? Are they caught? People on the jalapenos?
Wash your hands after
Jalapeno business?
jalapeno.
What's that? Oh, yeah, that's always fun. Okay, so now that your jalapeno's there, we're gonna cut small strips. Small strip, small strip, small strip. Do it again. The reason we wanna cut small strips, I like the jalapenos to be really nice and small so that you get a little bit of heat in every bite. If you get a little corn calla, a little cilantro, a little bit of jalapeno, you've got a perfect bite of guacamole. And so we're gonna cut that, and then we're just gonna cut it into small pieces. Now I know my cutting skills look like maybe that I do this for a living, and it's because I do. I can look deep in your soul and still be cutting, just deep in your soul, but still be cutting. And so that's the tricks of the trade. I do not recommend doing that at home. Hopefully you weren't even looking at me while I did that. And so once those jalapenos are cut, they go right into that guacamole. Now this part, again, you know, you can do anything with your guacamole that you want. This part is up to you. I like brightness, I like herbs, I like cilantro. I'm not always about cilantro, but I think it really adds to the avocado and the guacamole. And so we're gonna take just a little bit of cilantro, go ahead about a half a bunch. We're gonna cut off 30% of the root. The root actually has most of the flavor in cilantro, so we're just gonna cut off 30% of the root. And we're gonna just chop this up. If you can do it pretty fine, great. If you can't, it's okay to go a little wider. It's not gonna make much difference. And we're just gonna chop that up. You can go a little finer on the stems. And once you got that cilantro cut, you can put it right in the bowl. While you're doing that, I'm gonna give one more last look to our oven. Everything should be caramelized in there, but I'm gonna double check just to let you know at home. And so take your time cutting that cilantro. Smells so good. Wow, yum. Woo, tomatillo coming out. And finally, the noise is gone. Oh, yeah. Perfect. All right. And so if you haven't already, get the cilantro into your guacamole and pull your items out of the oven. No, just straight out. You're not looking to cook this very evenly or anything. You're really just looking for a light caramelization to really bring out the sugars and the flavors of the tomatillos, of the pineapple, of the onion. You can go longer, you can go hotter, but you don't really need to. So we're just gonna pull this out, set it aside until we're done with our guacamole. Everything together is coming away so nice. Okay, so one more second for you guys to get the items out of the oven. And we're gonna move on to the last item, last two items of the guacamole. All right, and the last item is green onion. So I like to add green onion to it. Again, you don't have to, but it's a nice add. So you're just gonna cut off the tips of the green onion, and you're just gonna do a nice fine chop. We're only gonna use about half. It's not so important to use all of it. I just think it adds a nice element of onion and crunch to the guacamole. And so when you've cut about half, you're good to go. Perfect. And that's gonna go in there. And so this guac does have a decent amount of items in it, but wait till you try it. It's really gonna blow your mind. So, and if it doesn't, you know, you can write me some hate mail. You can send some avocados to my house. I'll know what you mean. And if you love it, also send me some avocados to your house and I'll send you back guacamole. So it's a win-win situation. All right. And so this is all of our stuff. All we have left is lime and salt. Two really fun ingredients to have together. And so I'm gonna wait a little show of hands to see if everybody's caught up, because this is a good moment to get everybody caught up. I know you guys are working hard at home right now. I can see it. I love it. It feels like there's good teamwork. This kitchen smells amazing. Yeah, families, couples. I like the Yoobi vibe. A lot of passion on the other side of that screen.
That is home kitchen.
A lot of laughs.
Wait, is this your home kitchen?
I wish. Can you imagine if this is my home kitchen? No, this is a commercial kitchen I use to just like set up all the restaurants and the catering companies.
It's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's huge. There is actually an oven in here that can hold 111 of these sheet pans. So it's a pretty crazy commercial kitchen. We do when it's not COVID, we cater about 1,000 parties a year from this location. Whew. Okay. So people feel caught up or not yet? We're on the home stretch. It's like the 8th inning over here. How's it looking? Beautiful. Okay, limes. I'm going to show you a little trick. If you already know this, great, whatever. If you don't know it, I'm happy to share it with you. To get the easiest juice out of there, you want to go ahead and roll your lime on your cutting board, putting some pressure on it. Makes it easier to get the juice. We're going to need between 2 and 3 limes. I'm a little lime crazy, but this really does well because of the lime and the corn, and so you want to get those going. Cut them in half and squeeze away. Let's start with 1 full lime. And then we're going to cut 1 more, and we're going to do half of that second one. And this is where the chef of you comes out at home, okay? Because I need you guys to do tasting. Every avocado is different sweetness. Every lime has a different amount of juice. every onion is more pungent than another. And so where recipes kind of lose hope is when it gets to the final stage, and that's where the chef in you has to come out. So we have our lime in here, and we're gonna go ahead and grab some salt. I would say about 1 tablespoon, but start with a large pinch. So really large pinch, kosher salt. If you don't have kosher salt, you can use iodized, but I don't like iodized salt, so hopefully you do have kosher salt. And once all of those ingredients are together, you're just gonna go ahead and mix it up. Ooh. Yeah. It just smells so good. It's super fresh. And if you notice, you'll see its avocado ratio to other ingredients is probably 1 to 1, which is what I really like about this guacamole, is that you get a lot of things going on and the avocado is the binder. And so if that was a company, I would say our mission statement is guacamole, but our core value is avocado. I'm just playing. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it made sense to me, so I said it. Okay, boom. And now the most important part, you need to taste it. So this is where you're tasting for 3 things: sweetness, salt, and acid. So the lime is the acid. The salt is the salt. Dang, that's good. If you got a chippy, use your chip. Yum. So this is almost perfect to me. I actually think it needs a tiny bit more lime and just a little more salt to really bring out the sweetness in the corn, the richness from the avocado, the depth from the green onion. And so we're gonna taste it one last time, make sure it's perfect. Hopefully you're loving this at home. You're starting to taste your hard work. You're in the final inning, and you have beautiful guacamole to thank. Thank those avocado trees. They worked hard for us. All right, so that should be done, and we're moving into the salsa. This is the easiest part. Just take those ingredients. If you need tongs, use tongs. It shouldn't be that hot. And just put them all into the blender. If you have a food processor, you can also use those. Be careful because the tomatillos are filled with liquid. So this is kind of hot, not really. But just be careful at home, making sure that you can touch it if it is too hot. And then we're just gonna get all the ingredients right into there. Couldn't be more simplistic. Ooh. These tomatillos are like sacks of beautiful liquid. All right. And so now we've got our caramelized veg, fruits, in to the blender. We're gonna take that other half bunch of cilantro that we didn't use. We're gonna just cut off the stems, just the last inch. Put that right in. We're gonna take a tiny bit of that olive oil, about a tablespoon. So I'm just gonna show you exactly how much, but about a tablespoon. This is gonna help blend it together and add some fat. We're gonna just a tad bit of salt. Not too much actually, just a large pinch. And that's gonna be the start of it. And then you need about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. We're gonna start with a little lighter. Excuse me, I just got apple cider vinegar right up there. So apple cider vinegar, about a tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons. And that should be done. And then we're just gonna get it blended. You can blend slow. This is all gonna be really easily blended items, so. If you have a food processor, great. Vitamix also good. And that's our salsa. How simple was that, right? And so if your salsa is good, it should all be blended together. I wouldn't overblend. And we're gonna do the most important thing. We're gonna taste it. You should be getting some deep heat from the jalapeno, some sweetness from the pineapple, some depth from that onion and garlic. And there's no onion, sorry, just from the onion. And then you're gonna just add a little bit of salt if you need more. Mine needs a little bit more salt just to be perfectly balanced. Mix that up. Now, what's really cool about this salsa and what really makes great salsa is actually the more time it sits. And so wait till you try the salsa again tomorrow. It's only gonna get better. And if it does get too thick on you, which does happen because we're using a lot of fresh veg, all you need to do to reduce it is actually add a little bit of water and oil, and it will be perfect. So if it comes out tomorrow and you're like, oh, why is this so thick? Just add a little bit of oil and water, mix it back up, and it'll get right back to perfect. I like a thicker salsa. I think a very like veg-friendly salsa is a little healthier, more delicious. So these are gonna always be a little thicker, but should be perfect. And so we can set that aside. We have one more thing to do to make our perfect tacos. We have our slaw. And so this is the most simplistic thing. I think every taco needs a good slaw. Reason being is it's textural, it's fun, and it's bright. And so you're gonna just go ahead and cut your green cabbage. You're gonna cut it in half. You're gonna take out the outer layer, throw that away. You're gonna remove the stem, which is a triangle that you're gonna put into the bottom of it. So right there, there's a triangle, stem out of the way. So a triangle gone, stem out of the way. And you're just gonna finely chop this. And once that's finally chopped, and it makes no rhyme or reason on how you chop it, really doesn't matter. This slaw could be in any shape or form that you need. You're gonna add that to a mixing bowl. And this part's so easy. You're just gonna take that other half of the lime, squeeze the lime into there, a tiny bit of olive oil, like less than a tablespoon, just a tiny bit of olive oil, and kosher salt. And that's it. That's the slaw. You're gonna look for all the flavor from the other ingredients, from the salsa that you made, from the guacamole. So this slaw is really just to add a little bit of texture and brightness. And what you're really tasting for, and this is a delicate balance, is just salt and acid. So as long as it has salt and acid, yeah, it just has salt, acid. So again, just a tiny bit of olive oil, a decent amount of lime, and a little bit of salt, and your slaw should be done. And now we come together for the final elements. So for this part, you're gonna take your chicken that you've already cooked, and you're just gonna pull it apart. So we're gonna get the guac out of the way so you guys can see, slaw out of the way. Use these for later. And so we're just gonna take that chicken that we already cooked. It should have cooled down, that's why we did it first. And we're just gonna pull it into pieces. And it should easily pull apart. And you can just do as much as you need right now, or you could pull the whole thing. I think for the interest of getting the dinner on the table, we're just gonna pull apart the amount that you need for the tacos. And so each taco, you want about 2 fingers worth. So 2 fingers in width and length. And so that's like a perfect taco right there. It's about 2 fingers. It actually works appropriately to your size. So if you have larger fingers, a bigger hand, you probably need a little bit more food. Can you repeat the ingredients of the slaw? Yeah, so the slaw is just salt, olive oil, and lime. So you take that green cabbage and you chop it up. It's just salt, olive oil, and lime. Really simplistic, and it's just a bright, fresh way to add to your taco. You're not looking for too much flavor from it, as you don't want to empower the other things that are on the plate. And so once you've pulled apart the chicken that you're going to use, and again, you can only, as much as you need for tonight is perfect. And you can reheat this. You can heat it up with a little bit of liquid. That's the best way to reheat it, is just to use a little bit of water, reheat it that way. But you can also reheat it in a toaster oven. I don't really like a microwave, but you can also do it there. And so once you got enough for that meal, you're going to take another bowl. very bowl heavy. You're gonna grab that pulled chicken. You're gonna take a couple spoonfuls of that salsa or a little split of that salsa and you're gonna toss it together. How beautiful that is, that color, that profile is just awesome. We're gonna toss that together. Yeah, of course, that's just how it is. And I love the smell of this. You get some of that tomatillo, some of that pineapple, and it's just so aromatic. And so you're just tossing it in enough salsa to coat it. You can put a little bit more if you like a little extra heat, a little extra flavor. And so we're just looking for a nice coating. And I'm gonna wait for everybody to get caught up because we only have one step left to make the perfect tacos. And so I'm gonna see when everybody puts their eyes up, I know you're ready for the final step. Michael is gonna let me know when that's happening. I'm just gonna get a little things cleaned up over here. All right. For those of you who are early advances, we're cooking on the last part, which is the tortillas. For this one, you just want a nonstick pan, any pan, but a nonstick pan is gonna be easiest. And you just wanna heat that up. And all we're gonna do is toast the tortillas because nothing's worse than a non-toasted tortilla. Will you let me know, Michael, when they are ready? All right. I'm excited, everybody. How fun is this Wednesday night? Yeah. For those of you on the advanced course, you guys could cut up the last lime and use it as a garnish. Whenever we're ready. Okay, great. So you want to go ahead and get your pan hot. So right here I have a nonstick pan. I've got the heat up on it. Turn the heat up. Doesn't matter. You can go high, you can go medium. I'm going to teach you how you know when a tortilla is done. You should go medium to high. I guess it does matter. But as long as it's medium or high, it doesn't really matter. And you're just going to get your tortillas on there. If you can only do one or two at a time, don't worry. They actually hold really well as long as you stack them on each other. And you're just going to put them long enough to see an air pocket. So every tortilla, when heated correctly, gets a small air pocket. It's right there. It's right there. It's right there. And so as soon as it gets that air pocket, you want to give it a little flip. Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to see the air pocket from a camera standpoint. But you can see it in person if you look really close. And so you're just looking for that air pocket. It takes about 40 seconds. It takes about 30, 40 seconds to get the perfect air pocket. And then you're flipping and you're waiting for the other color. Ooh. Okay, so it's really hard to see, but you can start to see it bubbling right there. And so if you're unsure, you can flip it again. But you're just looking for a light toast on these. Once they're toasted, and you can use tongs if they're a little too hot for you in the pan. And so once they're toasted, we're gonna move them back to our cutting board. All right, we're gonna take that chicken, center stage. And you can tell it's beautiful and soft. It's flavored really well. Okay, then you're gonna hit it with a little bit of that slaw. And then a dollop of avocado, of the guacamole that you made, depending on how much you like. I mean, who doesn't like avocado? So you're probably going to go pretty heavy on it, which I do not blame you. It's what you're supposed to do. Then we're going to hit it with a little bit of that lime as a garnish. And then if you have the chips, the guacamole, and the salsa as a side dish, you are living your best life, Yoobi. That was a lot of fun. Woo. For all of you at home, I'm really excited that we got to make this together. I hope this encourages you to get in the kitchen more often if you haven't already. COVID is a great chance to really spend some time cooking with the family. One of my favorite things that I've actually done since COVID has started is actually cooking with my little cousins. The amount of benefit people get out of using their hands, understanding ingredients, playing with them, it really, really goes a long way. You start to really admire the different things. I mean, I've been growing things in my garden and using them, and it's just been like a very deep, passionate feeling that I have with, like, you know, just ingredients. I mean, right now, all we have here is only a few ingredients that we turned into an amazing dish. The guacamole you can save, and I'm going to teach you how to save that. The salsa you could save, the chicken you can use. So this is really nice prep that puts you advanced on the week, but tastes really good. And then for the guacamole, I'm just going to want you to store it because you have a bunch extra. I did that on purpose so that you get the gift that keeps on giving. You want to go ahead and put all the pressure on, pack it all down so there's no air pockets. And then you want to take plastic wrap and directly put it on top of the guacamole, allowing no air. If there's no air that hits the guac, it won't oxidize. And that's what makes that guac turn brown on top. And so guac actually lasts a pretty long time, but you want to take it and literally pack it all down, press it all down as much as you can, and then take plastic wrap and directly put it on top, and then press the plastic wrap down, allowing for no air pockets. Or the other option, but it'll change the flavor, is you can put lime all over it on top, and those two will allow for the guacamole to not be oxidized. I know we're about 15 minutes over, so outside of any additional questions, I think we're all hungry. I know Drea and Michael, who have been assisting me here, are ready for some tacos. And so I think it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, pun intended, and get eating. Is there anything else anyone needs, or should we take a bite?
Bite. Let's take a
All
bite.
right, will you guys come into frame? You guys can have a bite with me. Come into frame, enjoy.
Don't mind if I do.
Right? It should be really tender, the chicken. The brightness should come from the slaw, the avocado. You can put a little extra salsa on top. You gotta hit a little bit extra, this bad boy, huh?
Michelle, this is so much fun.
Amazing. Daniel.
Thank you, everyone.
And Jess is going to laugh at me for saying that.
Awesome, guys.
That's amazing. Thank you.
For joining us.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, CJ.
Thank you.
Well done, team. This is amazing. Daniel, we really appreciate it. This was a really, really wonderful way. I've been watching you from Australia eating my breakfast. I think this is this has just been an incredible way to end what has been a wonderful day, and your passion, you can see it in the food, you can see it in the way that you bring it, and the Yoobi team, well done. It looks incredible. I can't wait to get these recipes. I'm going to cook this tonight.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Pixar didn't happen, Ito.
What?
Pixar didn't happen.
What was that? Oh, yeah.
Pixar didn't happen. I got it. I'm all in. All right, look, well done, team Yoobi. Enjoy dinner. Daniel, thank you. Michelle, thank you for putting this together. You're a rock star. Everyone, thank you. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Enjoy every second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.